Hello and welcome back to another species spotlight. I'm excited about this one today because we're going to be talking about my very own parrot, Maverick, and we're going to be talking about the bronze wing Pionus. Right, Mav's been bribed with a cashew nut, so let's roll the intro and get straight into it. Okay, as always, we are going to start with lifespan. So the bronze wing, with the right medical care and the right diet, can live anywhere from 30 to 40 years. We're going for 50 with Mav. Come on, Mav. But yes, so 3 to 4 decades worth of companionship, but also responsibility. That's the first thing that you need to consider before bringing one of these beautiful birds into your home. If you are in a place in your life where you don't think you're going to be able to outlive your bird, as always, please make sure it's written into your will that the bird be surrendered to a charity such as Birdline when the time does come. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is temperament. Now, there does seem to be quite a lot of misinformation out there about what Pionus are actually like. And hopefully I can give you an honest account. Mav's only 1 year old, so I don't feel like I have ultimate authority to tell you what he's like, going through his teenage years when he hits sexual maturity. The best person to be able to explain that to you and who has loads of really good videos on YouTube is Ash from Pionus Tales. She is amazing and she is my Pionus guru. She's the one who I will go to ask questions when Mav does weird things that I can't explain. So from my experience, yes, most of the time they are super chilled out. Mav is pretty independent. He's quite happy to sit up on his perch and, chew his toys or preen without being necessarily entertained. He is quite happy to be left for a couple of hours in his cage and won't kick up a fuss. We have cameras on him, so we see how he behaves. He'll just sit there, he'll have a nap, he'll preen, he'll eat, and he's absolutely fine. I'd never leave him voluntarily, I'd never leave him any longer than sort of like 3 or 4 hours, but he generally is absolutely okay with that. And he's loving, he's sweet, he clearly loves me, he clearly loves my partner Gemma, he kind of is on the fence about my son, and he loves my dog, absolutely loves my dog. Always under close supervision if you are thinking about having a parrot out with a dog. But yes, he seems to absolutely love Pluto, our whippet. And Pluto tolerates him. he is a good boy. But yes, so 95% of the time, he's chilled out, he's lovely, he's loving, he's got such a good nature. But 5% of the time, he goes off the Richter, mental, and will bite you almost without warning, super hard, and he is pretty savage. And this is actually a trait of the Pionus. Now, like I say, Ash from Pionus Tales will tell you far more about this than me, but they are super aggressive when it comes to territory. So caging, particularly Mav's sleepy cage, the cage that he goes to sleep in, he gets very possessive and territorial over that. And they are out to get you when they fluff their feathers up and they strut side to side, and you can see the eyes starting to pin, and he's out to get you. It's like he gets possessed and he can't control himself. And then after a while, he'll sort of snap out of it and then he'll be lovely Mav again. But yeah, so if you're caught off guard, he can definitely get you. And there are certain things that annoy him or send him into that fit of rage, as I like to call it. So for example, if you have a tissue in your hand, he'll probably bite you. The other day I was cooking some pasta and I wanted to put a little bit of olive oil in the water before I turned it on, and obviously when the gas went on, he went out. So I got a bottle of olive oil and poured a little bit in, and he bit me in my shoulder really hard, really hard. This sounds like a horror story, doesn't it? But it has to be told because they aren't all sweet and nice, and there's videos that I've watched where people are like, they're just so cool, they're so laid back, they're lovely. They are a lot of the time, but you have to be prepared for these savage moments. And it does get a lot worse when they hit sexual maturity, which is something we'll touch on in a bit. So, are they quiet? This is a really tricky one. Mav is capable of making absolutely glass breaking noises, really high pitched contact calls, screams his head off when he wants something and he's a little bit agitated. So no, they're not quiet in the sense that they can't make much noise. He can, he's very capable of being incredibly loud. And he's up there with the conures and, you know, the African greys and Amazons when he does go. But most of the time he is quiet. So he'll have these little spouts and fits of shouty rage, but most of the time he is quiet and doesn't make too much noise. Talking, I don't like talking about talking because you should never be getting a bird if you want it just to talk. He does talk. He says hello when I walk in if I haven't seen him for a couple of minutes, and he mimics a couple of noises. But again, that's a lovely bonus to owning a parrot, but you should never get a parrot just because you wanted to talk. Okay, the conures are proving my point in the background. Next thing that I wanted to talk about is attention required. Again, I would say it's moderate. I try and be with Mav as much as I possibly can. I really hope you guys can still hear me and not just the conures in the background. I try and be with Mav as much as I possibly can, and I think all parrot owners should do that with their parrots. But like I say, if I do need to go out for relatively long periods of time, I know Mav's absolutely fine. If I just put the television on or the radio on, he's just going to sit there and be perfectly fine. And the reason I know that is because I have a camera that I attach to the side of the cage when I go out that connects to my phone. So my partner always laughs at me because I will be checking on Mav when we go out to a restaurant or something like that as a family and there's no one here. Okay, next thing is a balanced diet. Now, these guys actually, before I go into the diet, these guys are incredibly food orientated from my experience. So therefore, they are really easy to train. Mav does do a few things. I'll see if I can insert a little bit of a video showing you some of the stuff he does. He flies to me and he can wave. That's pretty much it, actually. But yes, so the diet. Now, again, I would say that 50% of the diet has to be made up of a really... You're right, buddy. There he is, so you can see him in all his glory. He's a little bit rough around the edges at the moment because he is just coming to the end of a molt. Oh, you don't want to go up there, do you? You want to sit on my hand. So 50% of the diet should be made up with a high-quality pellet, such as Harrison's or Tops. I use Harrison's, but I am thinking of moving over to Tops. But that should be the mainstay of the dry food. And then a few seeds. You can add a few seeds in there every day, so like half a dessert spoonful of seeds. That's not going overboard because obviously they're very fatty. So that's that, and then the rest of the diet should always be made up of fresh chopped vegetables and very occasionally fruit. So Mav, actually, his routine is that he has porridge in the morning with me, parrot porridge in the morning with me. Then his vegetables go into his cage until about 5 o'clock. Then I take the vegetables out and then I give him his pellets, and that will do him up until he goes to bed. But that gives you hopefully a general idea of their diet. Definitely not all seeds. Definitely sunflower seeds kept to an absolute minimum should be used as a reward when they're, when you're training them. Potentially, he loves pine nuts, so I use pine nuts for training. And peanuts, just don't go near peanuts. It's not worth it. Aspergillosis can be life-threatening, and it's not worth playing that game. Okay, next thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, my arm's aching, but not because you're heavy, just because I've been in this position for a while. Next thing I want to talk about is destructive behavior. Now, my experience with Mav has been that, yes, of course, if I let him run wild, he's just going to chew wires and he can damage furnishings. But it's not too bad. It's definitely certainly not up there with some conure species, cockatoos in particular, African greys, Amazons. It's definitely not as bad as that. And this is something that I believe, honestly, is that you kind of accidentally train them to not chew certain things because you say no, no, and you give them a couple of chances. Okay, cool. You're going to go back in the cage because I need to do this, and you're chewing that. They learn that they're not allowed to chew things because they are very intelligent. So I'm very lucky with Mav. He knows what he can and can't chew. I don't know if that's true for other Pionus owners, but yeah, with Mav, he knows what he is and isn't allowed to chew. Good boy. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is sexual maturity. Now, when these guys hit sexual maturity, you know about it because they do start to bond with a particular person and they'll tolerate the rest of the family, but there is a person that they bond to, and they can become super aggressive, again, mainly with the territorial behavior around their cage, somewhere where they would deem to be like a nesting area. Anything that they can defend, that's, you know, a place that they like to be, they will turn literally savage. And there is no bite worse than a angry Pionus, in my opinion. And the fact that sometimes you get a split second warning is terrifying, because you'll just be aimlessly, you're like doing something, they'll be on your shoulder, something will have triggered them, and then they're fluffed up, you haven't seen it, and then bosh, your ear's bitten. Mav gave Gemma a nose piercing the other day. You know, so it is, they are like little ticking time bombs. Really not selling them, but you need to know this. Okay, so yes, so watch out for that. When they hit sexual maturity, anywhere between 3 to 5 years old is normally when they hit maturity, depending on the species. So Mav hasn't even gone through it yet. Mav's a bit of an anomaly because he gets these really aggressive, like little spats or spates. And he's not even a teenager yet. He's still a baby. But anyway, so people often ask me, what does it take to be a parrot owner? And I think I can boil it down to this definition. A good parrot owner is somebody who loves their parrot way more than they hate being bitten, pooed on, screamed at, you know, inconvenienced because they can't go away, you know, things like that. You have to love your bird more than you hate all of those negatives that come with owning a bird. And that couldn't be more true than with the bronze-winged Pionus. Okay, so now I will talk about the pros, which this could double the length of this video because Mav's my best mate. I absolutely love Mav. I wake up in the morning, I get him out of his sleepy cage, he has his little happy feet, he's ready to see me, immediately wants kisses and cuddles, and then we go about our day, and then he just sits on my shoulder while I make my breakfast, and yeah, he'll just wait there by the microwave with me for the porridge to be ready. Then he'll share his porridge with me, and then we just have fun all day. He's just super chilled out. He just wants to be with me or around me. It doesn't have to be on me constantly, like when we talked about the Gende Konya, but he just likes to be in the same room as me, and more often not doing his own thing. I mean, what's he doing now? Oh, he's just sat on the chair. He'll probably sit there quite happily for the next 2 hours. So yeah, they're just incredible, and they're just so loving. And yeah, if they pick you and you're the person, there's no other human-animal bond like it, in my opinion. The closest relationship you can get to, in my opinion, is with a dog. And it's that kind of relationship. I love Mav just as much as I love my dog, and I love my dog. So yeah, right, I'm not going to ramble, but they are amazing birds. If you can rescue one, they very rarely come up on these rescue sites, but if you can rescue one, do rescue one. They're very easily trained. If there are behavioural issues, you can definitely work on it. And please go and check out Ash at Pionus Tales, because she is an authority, in my opinion, on Pionus. She has a white cat called Quaffle, and she also has a bronze-winged Pionus called Lyra. Whoa, I forgot about you. You're right, buddy. And yeah, she's just super informative. She knows her stuff, and she lives the parrot lifestyle, and yeah, knows how they should be kept. So if you want to learn more about these guys, go over and definitely check out her channel. Cool. Right, that'll be it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this. Have a fantastic evening, morning, afternoon, whatever it is where you are, and I will see you on the next one.